All right, so let me spill the tea on my girl Seion. She's 29, designs websites for a living, and after 3 god-awful years of grinding, she finally escaped for a vacation at her Aunt Mija's place. And honey, that's where she ran into her aunt's youngest. You know, the little shadow who used to trail her everywhere? Yeah, well, that shadow hit a major growth spurt and is now a full-blown Greek god. His sudden upgrade from pest to masterpiece left her feeling all kinds of flustered and weirdly tingly. I mean, living under one roof, all that shared history started to cook up some serious adult-rated tension. We're talking stolen glances that lasted a little too long, a whole dictionary of things left unsaid, pulling them in like a magnet, and, let's just say things got confidential. After 9 years of being apart, all those dusty old feelings came roaring back to life, hitting a flashpoint right in the middle of his family's damn orchard, where they finally decided to harvest the forbidden fruit, if you know what I mean. And bam, in that one steamy moment, it hit them. This wasn't new. This was first love-level stuff, leaving them totally clueless about whether this was just a heat-of-the-moment explosion or the real deal. So, our story opens in this super sketchy forest where these 2 kids are about to get their summer blockbuster started, right under a huge tree. Bless their innocent hearts. They have no clue their little makeout session is the opening scene to a 5-alarm fire of drama. And just like that, we flash forward, and we're dropped right into the glorious chaos that is Seon's life. Get this. She's a 29-year-old web designer slaving away at a magazine that specializes in, let's say, *artistic anatomy*. Just your average overworked corporate slave. Totally normal, right? Wrong. Because after 3 soul-crushing years on the hamster wheel, my girl finally scored herself a much-needed refresh, leave. Can you even imagine? 3 entire years without a real break? The woman needed a vacation from planning her vacation. Back at the office, her team lead pipes up, saying something like, "Wow, has it really been 3 years?" And Seon's just like, "Yep, tell me about it." He then brings up her leave application, casually asking if she has any big plans, maybe jetting off somewhere exotic? But Seion, bless her heart, says it's nothing major, just a healing trip to a relative's orchard, her Aunt Mija's place. Her boss, of course, finds this hilarious, telling her an orchard sounds, well, kinda lame for a getaway. Seion admits that Ibiza was on the table, but for a perpetually single good girl like herself, diving into that shark tank would be a little intense. Her boss just cracks up, pointing out the massive gap between Ibiza and an apple orchard, calling her the human version of Photoshop and jokes that if she actually went, she'd be surrounded by tanned, chiseled gods ready to worship her. And Seion just sighs, whispering, "A girl can dream," under her breath. He just laughs, poking her again, saying it's a cosmic joke that someone who's as thirsty for a good man as she is can still be so single. Seion just fires back with a playful, "Hey now." Then he drops the act, hands her a present, and says he's just messing with her. It's a little something for her long service, perfect, to take on her trip, and tells her to have an amazing time. So, with the sound of her coworkers cheering her on, Seion officially clocks out for her escape. The scene melts away as she daydreams about the absolute carnage of Ibiza, only to be snapped back to reality by the thought of getting swept up in the chaos. She fully admits that she totally chickened out, blaming her courage, which is roughly the size of a pea. So, she settles on a new plan: get fat on apples, which basically cost more than a car payment these days. Her mission was simple: eat, sleep, hit the reset button, and then drag her ass back to the real world. As she pulls up to the general area, she's scanning the scenery, thinking, okay, it's gotta be around here somewhere. So, a little backstory. Aunt Mija and her husband bailed on the city for the farm life about 9 years ago, right when Seion turned 20. They were her next-door neighbors since she was in diapers, all the way up till she left the nest. The families were super tight, even though she wasn't a blood aunt. The whole neighborhood just called them Aunt Mija and Uncle Plan. Maybe it was because they only had 2 boys, but they absolutely spoiled her rotten. She starts thinking about the younger son, the one her age, and gets a little curious about what he's up to now. As a kid, he was that annoying little tag-along who followed her like a lost puppy. She silently wonders if he's even still around, since most people bolt for the city the first chance they get. But just as she's thinking that, she spots the house. She pulls in, hops out, and calls, "Hello? Anyone home? It's me, Seion." And that's when, out in the garden, Aunt Mija's son was standing there, shirtless, like the cover model for some steamy manhwa romance. Seon's brain completely short-circuited. That was definitely not Dongwook, the older brother. Not a chance. And seeing that he was, serving up a full-course meal with his bare chest, she started to drift closer, about to ask who the hell he was. But before a word could escape her lips, Aunt Mija pops out of nowhere, all smiles, welcoming her in. Seion snapped back to reality and scurried inside. She managed to squeak out, Are you Jungkook? But Mr. Abs of Steel just turns his head, giving her the cold shoulder, leaving her completely baffled and pissed off, thinking, to herself, what the hell was that? While trying to get her suddenly racing heart to chill out. But then Mija calls for her again, telling her to come on in, and a still shaken Seion just nervously says, coming. Before Jungkook, bless his heart, got suddenly fascinated by his own shoes. Inside, Uncle Pilsen was all sunshine and rainbows, absolutely thrilled to see how much she'd, blossomed asterisk. Seion played it cool, asking how he'd been, and Uncle Pilsen just gushed that he was great, and seeing her after 10 long years felt like a dream. Seion was like, I know, right? And just then, Aunt Misa, the real MVP, swooped in, saying it must have been a long trip and showing Seion to her room. She told her to take her time, get settled, and just chill. Seion gratefully escaped, and the second that door closed, you could feel her sigh of relief. Unpacking her stuff, she was thinking, okay, ditching Seoul was a genius move. My aunt and uncle are adorable. This was 100% the right call. The plan was to get her zen on before heading back. That's when she found it the little farewell gift from her team lead. She opened the box and, well, hello there. It was a little battery-operated friend designed for a single girl's private R&R. She went beet red, thinking her boss was an absolute menace, and she was even crazier for actually packing the thing. And, because the universe has a twisted sense of humor, a voice called her name. She spun around to find Jungkook, just standing there, frozen. He was awkwardly mumbling something about his mom running a bath for her. Seion started to smile, then her eyes darted down to the vibrating wand of joy still in her hand, and she let out a shriek. The girl literally just fell over from pure, unadulterated shame. Later, soaking in the tub, her brain was just a looping track of, kill me now, kill me now, kill me now. She just couldn't scrub the cringe away. Her mind was racing, like, why did Jungkook have to walk in at that exact moment? Of all people, it had to be times him asterisk, after a whole decade apart. Still, she figured it was better than his mom or dad catching her. Her grand re-entrance was basically just her, waving a dildo like a welcome flag. But then her traitorous brain started replaying the scene, focusing on Jungkook. When did he get so broad? All that time working in the orchard had clearly done a body good. That boy was carved. And thinking about that solid, muscular frame started a little fire down below. So, with the water nice and warm, she decided to put that bath to good use. She was whispering his name over and over when, on the other side of the door, Jungkook stood, holding the towel he'd come to give her, hearing every last breathy syllable. The poor guy was glowing red. He just came to deliver a towel, and now he was an unwilling audience to a one-woman show. How do you even knock on that door? So, after a very successful round of self-care, she demolished dinner, took a power nap, and then wandered into the kitchen for water, opening the fridge for a bottle. That's when she heard a weird noise. Definitely not her uncle's snoring. She listened hard, realizing the sound was drifting down from upstairs. It sounded like it was coming from Jungkook's room. Her first thought, bless her innocent heart, was that maybe he was hurt. So she tiptoed upstairs to check. Peeking through the half-open door, she instantly wished she could unsee what she saw. Jungkook was buck naked, moaning her name like he was the lead in some spicy manhwa romance. She froze solid, her face burning hot enough to start a fire. Then his eyes snapped open and met hers. For a few solid seconds, they were just two mortified statues in a gallery of awkward, both of them just praying for the sweet release of the floor opening up and swallowing them whole. Seion's brain was short-circuiting, trying to process the scene. The main question looping in her head was, WHY is he saying my name? Jungkook, meanwhile, looked like he'd seen a ghost, but Seion couldn't help but notice that his, Asterisk enthusiasm times hadn't died down with the shock. She was totally overwhelmed, realizing that just shutting the door wasn't going to erase this. There was no unringing this bell. She knew with absolute dread that her happy, healing orchard life, as long as she and Ju Jungkook were under the same roof, was officially wrecked. It hadn't even been a full day. She decided then and there to take control, thinking, fine, let's just do this. Then she opened her mouth. Need a hand with that? She asked, and Jungkook's jaw practically unhinged. Seion immediately ducked her head, hiding her flaming cheeks and thinking desperately, if you start something, you gotta see it through. And that was all the encouragement he needed. In 2 strides, he was at the door, pulling her in and clicking it shut behind her. She gasped, completely stunned. He backed her against the door, his voice low and ragged as he said, "Help me." She squeaked out, "What do you mean?" "You offered," he breathed. "So help me." Her mind was screaming, he's actually calling my bluff. But honestly, the guy looked desperate. So, finally, she agreed. So my girl asks, all innocent, how am I supposed to help? And this dude, without missing a beat, takes her hand and plants it right on his, asterisk, Tower of Power asterisk, and starts showing her the motion. An action that clearly sent him straight to Cloud 9. I mean, he's literally leaning on her shoulder, groaning, "Yes, just like that, Seion." And while Seon's giving him a little 5-fingered assistance, Jungkook is just chanting her name like a holy mantra. As she's working his magic wand, Seon's poor brain is just short-circuiting, thinking, wait, is this standard issue for guys? Are they all this massive? But before she can solve that mystery, Jungkook yells that he's about to blow. And then, boom, a volcanic eruption right onto her pajama top. Seion just stares down at the mess, her mind finally catching up that he, well, what am I supposed to do now? She shrieks, "You got it all over me. I guess we're even." But oh, he wasn't letting her off that easy. He just smirks and references the little solo performance she gave in the bath earlier, the one where his name was the star of the show. Let me tell you, she went from pale to poppy red in less than a second. Her internal monologue was just a loop of, he heard all of that? Is this guy an actual psycho? She's pointing a shaky finger at him, her mouth opening and closing like a fish. But the words just wouldn't come out. The cringe was so powerful it literally stole her voice. And Jungkook, smooth as hell, is all like, "Relax, I'm the only one who heard. For now." Then he dangles his t-shirt like a prize. "Here, change into this." Ugh, the nerve. Seon's next wave of panic was purely logistical. How in the world was she supposed to get this shirt off without getting a face full of evidence? A scenario she desperately did not want to experience. He, of course, offers, "Want me to get that for you?" And she, trying to sound all worldly, snaps back, "I'll handle it. It's not like this is my first rodeo. Girl, please." The real problem? She was flying free under there, no bra. He, probably sensing this, proposes the most ridiculous plan ever. "I'll take it off, but I'll close my eyes. You don't have to worry." And because her brain had officially left the building, she actually thought, well, if his eyes are closed, I guess it's fine. She was out of options, so she agreed to this deeply flawed strategy. Jungkook, probably fighting the world's biggest smirk, announces, "Okay, here I go," and starts lifting the shirt, his eyes squeezed shut. She squeezed hers shut too, bracing for impact. He tells her to put her arms up, and she does, blushing so hard her ears were hot. And then Jungkook yanks the top way up, revealing Seon's twin peaks. Then he declares, "I'm just gonna open my eyes for a sec." His justification? "I mean, you saw my junk, it's only fair." She's desperately pleading, "No, please don't," but it was useless. He was already staring, his eyes completely locked on target as he finished pulling the shirt over her head. She's muttering, "You said you wouldn't look," while trying to cover her chest, but he just keeps staring. This entire situation felt like it was ripped from the pages of a very spicy manhwa romance. "Stop staring and give me the t-shirt," she finally manages to say. But he was way past listening. He just gently moves her hands away and goes right in for a taste. Seon's mind just went blank. She was embarrassed, she was shocked, and she was pretty sure this was clinically insane. And Jungkook? Just happily enjoying the buffet, completely oblivious to her internal meltdown. In a fit of pure frustration, she yells, "You crazy jerk," and clocks him one right on the head. He crumples to the floor, holding his head, and for a split second, Seion freezes. Did I hit him too hard? That thought lasted all of 2 seconds before she decided, you know what? I don't care. Utterly mortified, she snatched his t-shirt and booked it out of his room. Standing in the hallway, still flushed, she yells back the most awkward apology in history. Sorry for hitting you, followed by a squeaked, good night, before she fled. As she scurried away, her brain replayed her earlier, brilliant attempt at sounding experienced, realizing with horror that she'd tried to lie about it not being her first time. The cringe was real. The next morning, Seion looked like she'd gone 10 rounds with a nightmare and lost. The dark circles under her eyes were epic. She hadn't slept a single wink. Still jittery, she went to find Aunt Miha. She mumbled a tired good morning. Aunt Misha smiled and asked if she'd slept well, but then her smile faltered as she got a good look at her. Concern crept into her voice. Honey, you look like you haven't slept at all. Trying to play it cool, Seion pulled out the oldest excuse in the book. Oh, you know, I'm just a bit picky about beds. She assured her aunt she'd be fine from now on. A total lie. But Aunt Miha's eyes narrowed, zeroing in on a crucial detail. The t-shirt Seion was wearing. It looked suspiciously familiar. With a casual tone, she remarked, Hey, that looks like Jungkook's t-shirt. You could practically hear the record scratch in Seon's brain. Instant. Panic. She started stammering nonsense. She spun this wild tale about spilling water on herself at dawn and grabbing the first thing she could find in the dark. Aunt Mija just nodded slowly, her expression unreadable as she said, I see. Just then, the man of the hour appeared, stalking toward them with a murderous glare. And the best part? He had a fresh lump on his head with a slice of potato taped to it, to soothe the masterpiece she'd painted on his face the night before. His eyes were locked on her like a heat-seeking missile, and girl, her heart started doing the cha-cha. Seeing him just materialize out of thin air, she panicked, wondering where the hell he'd come from. Her brilliant plan? Play it cool and announce she was just gonna go wash up. As she made her great escape, Aunt Misa, bless her meddling heart, just had to remind her about their little chat, you know, the one where Seion offered to help in the orchard. Apparently, her mom had given the aunt the full briefing, and now the parental units were just gonna wait outside for her, like a sacrificial lamb. Seion just nodded, sealing her fate. All right, she mumbled, feeling Jungkook's gaze practically burning a hole through her back. After a quick splash and dash, Seion stepped outside, trying to channel refreshed and unbothered. Her nerves from before somehow morphed into this weird buzz of excitement. Feeling a cocktail of happy and guilty, she gave herself a little pep talk. This was perfect. She'd just work off the guilt, pick a boatload of apples, and sweat out all this lingering awkwardness. Still blushing, she stepped out to find Aunt Miha. But of course, the second she opened the door, she ran smack into a wall of Jungkook. Flustered, she stammered that her aunt wasn't there and that it was totally fine. But nope. Jungkook held the door firm, his voice low, asking, And where do you think you're going? She pretty much shrieked at him to let go, demanding to know where the chaperones had vanished to. The official story? They went to run errands in town. Seion was baffled, pointing out that they were all supposed to go to the orchard together, like a happy little family. Jungkook confirmed that, yeah, that times was the plan, but her aunt and uncle had deputized him to be her teacher for the day, and they wouldn't be back until after dinner. Oh, the despair. The poor girl realized she was trapped for the entire day with Jungkook. She was 100% not mentally prepared for this. Overwhelmed, she just looked down at her feet. Jungkook kept staring. Then, he dropped to one knee. What are you doing? She squeaked. His reply, Your shoelace is untied. For a split second, she had a flashback to the night before, and her fist literally twitched. It was such a whiplash from when they were kids, when it felt like just yesterday he was asking times her asterisk to tie his shoes for him. Now she just felt ridiculous. He stood up, announcing he was heading to the orchard to work, leaving her to yell after him. Hey, wait! Why are you taking off by yourself? Wait for me, she called out, then tried to sound useful. Do we need any tools? He just shot back that everything was already over there. And so, the two of them started walking. The irony was so thick you could cut it with a knife. This morning he was shadowing her, all dark glares and stormy vibes. Now he was acting like nothing ever happened. She started to wonder if she was the crazy one, reacting like some inexperienced kid to his whole vibe. I mean, this guy was a legend back in school, So popular it was actually embarrassing to be his childhood friend. She finally just sighed and gave in. Whatever. Him pretending to have amnesia was probably for the best. Still, she huffed in frustration. Fine. If he was gonna play it that way. She'd just write last night off as a spicy dream and switch back to her happy, healing, orchard life fantasy. And right on cue, Jungkook called her name. She turned around, and he had this shy look on his face. What? She asked, as her heart immediately kicked into fifth gear. Internally, she was begging. Please don't look at me like that. You're making me remember things I'm trying to forget. And then he dropped the bomb. He asked if she'd used that toy times after she got back to her room last night. She was so shocked she just screeched, "What?" Her brain completely short-circuited on that one little word. Mortified, she seriously wondered if she'd knocked a few screws loose when she clocked him. "What in the hell are you even saying?" she choked out. But he just doubled down, asking if she'd taken herself to paradise with her little friend while thinking of him. Then, bam. He pinned her against an apple tree, crowding right into her space. Their faces were inches apart, both of them blushing furiously. This whole scene was straight out of a steamy manhwa romance, and all Seion could think was that his audacity felt like a betrayal. She was floored that he'd get his face that close to ask something so damn crude, especially in the bright light of day, stone-cold sober, unlike the night before when he at least had the excuse of being wasted. Where does this kind of shameless perversion even come from? She had to admit, her team lead was right all along. All men are freaks. Then her brain, in peak defensive mode, thought, "Hey, I haven't even had a chance to try one of those things yet. This is totally unfair," as she tried to push him away, a flustered manner, questioning what he was talking about. And she insisted that she had grabbed that item by mistake and not with any intention to actually use it. She then mentally criticized her own excuse, thinking that even a stray dog would laugh at the claim of bringing a dildo by mistake, and she internally fumed about him being a jerk. She then spoke aloud, bringing up the events of the previous night, stating firmly that she had only told him to undress her and that she never said to lick her, demanding to know why he had done it. In response, he asked her directly if she had hated it, which made her think that he must be insane. She then asked him if that was really his answer, to which he countered by asking her to say it plainly and confirm whether she had hated it or not. Internally, she admitted with frustration that she hadn't hated it, but she still felt conflicted. He then stated that he had liked it too, confirming their mutual feeling, and he began to undress her again. She exclaimed in surprise, asking if he was doing it again, and he replied that she didn't seem like she hated it. As she blushed, the memory of the feel of Ju Jungkook's tongue from the night before kept her plaving in her to herself that she again wanted Ju Jungkook to lick her. He continued undressing her, removing her inner top as well, then looked at her breasts and shilly suggested they try something new today. In shy embarrassment, she told him to stop staring and just start doing it. He smiled and remarked that she was asking him to do it today. Then he brought his face close to her breasts, sniffing them, his nose touching her skin, and she thought the sensation was cold. He commented that they smelled like milk, but she insisted it couldn't be true. She found the way he was staring at her breasts to be incredibly lewd. He then began using his tongue to give her pleasure, all while maintaining eye contact with her. She started asking for more, becoming increasingly lost in the pleasure, and he began moving his tongue faster. Suddenly, she realized it felt like something was happening down below, and with a start noticed that Jungkook was taking off her pants. Shocked and embarrassedly, she asked why he was taking off her pants, and he calmly replied that he never said he would only touch her upper body. She got very embarrassed and told him to wait, reminding him that they had come there to pick apples, right? He smiled and asked if she thought he had brought her there to put her to work. She was shocked, thinking to herself that Jungkook had brought her there to put her to work. Then he started teasing her with his finger and told her that she was soaked down there. She shilly acknowledged it with a yeah, but she was interrupted as he suddenly put his full face into her thing, causing her to lose her control. He also gave her pleasure there by using his tongue. She pleaded for him to stop, please, all while thinking in her pleasure that it felt so good. While eating it, he wondered why it was sweet there too. She grabbed his hair and said, "No, not here, please." Thinking to herself that she was going to lose it, she told him to use anything more, and he showed her his finger and suggested something like that. Then he started using his finger and told her to relax. He noted that she was gripping so hard there and asked how it was feeling now, questioning if she liked it. She responded that yeah, It felt good. She then asked, "How many is that?" To which he replied it was one. She thought to herself that it was only one finger, and yet it felt so good. He asked again if she liked it, then stated that if he did this, it would feel even better. And he then started using his 2 fingers. He remarked that she was biting down so hard and asked if she could feel it. While bathing fast, she said, "Yeah." He observed that she was so slick and hot down there. She cried out for him to wait. "Hey, wait." He then asked her if she rams herself like that with a dildo too, questioning if she makes herself gush when she is alone. She insisted no, stammering that she had never used a dildo. She thought to herself that it felt weird, like she was getting lighter and lighter. He smiled and called her a liar. He started doing it faster and realized she had just clenched so hard on his finger. He asked if she had come, then called for her again, but she did not respond. He then saw she had gone senseless. In the evening, Seion woke up in Jungkook's room and realized it was not her own. She was sure they had just been at the orchard a minute ago. The memory of the moments at the orchard came back to her. And right on cue, in walks Jungkook with a tray of food, asking if Sleeping Beauty is finally awake. My girl Seion, mortified, immediately dives under the blanket, hiding half her face and squeaking out a reply. Jungkook, bless his heart, is like, "What happened?" And then proceeds to remind her, since she clearly doesn't remember that back in the orchard, she hit the big O so hard she went completely lights out. He then gently pulls the blanket over her whole face, and all Seion can think is, "Oh my god, I actually fainted from an orgasm." Then, the real horror dawns on her. If she was knocked out, that means Joo Jungkook himself had to dress her and carry her all the way back here. Her first thought? I must have been so heavy. Girl, priorities. But then Jungkook says that since it was his first time, he was a bit clumsy, and figures he's the reason she fainted. He's apologizing, and Seon's brain just blue screens. Wait, what did he just say? Her mind is racing the times Joo Jungkook just said it was his first time? He then adds that she probably has a ton more experience, which makes her practically shout, "Excuse me, what?" He's still apologizing for being awkward and making it hard on her. And she's just like, "Hold up, stop, rewind. Did you just say that was your time's first time asterisk? Your first time's what asterisk?" She presses. And he, so innocently, just says, "Everything. I've never done any of this with anyone but you." And Seion is, understandably, shook. She has to spell it out. "You mean you've never been with a woman before?" Her brain is screaming. This is Joo Jungkook, the guy every girl in school wanted to climb like a tree. This is some next-level manhwa romance plot twist. Then, so shyly, she admits, "You were really good. And actually, I'm the one who's never done this before." Now it's Jungkook's turn to be floored. "But you told me you weren't a first-timer." Totally embarrassed, she explained she was just panicking and started spewing absolute nonsense about some guy ruining something for her. A total lie to save face. He just smirks. "I thought you were lying." She buries her face in her hands, explaining the little prop was a gag gift from her team lead that she just threw in her bag without thinking. He has to ask again, a hopeful little glint in his eye. "So, I was really your first?" She nods. And then she sees this huge, happy grin spread across his face, and she can't help but tease, "Why do you look so happy about that?" And boom, it hits her. The school's legendary heartthrob, Joo Jungkook, is grinning like an idiot because he was the first to explore her promised land. The idea that he actually likes her had never even occurred to her. She gives this super awkward smile and tries to blame it all on the mood, internally cursing the ridiculous situation that got them here. He just looks at her, confused. "The mood? Huh? Yeah. My dude over here thought this was a mutual feelings fest." Seion's brain is screaming, "Mayday!" And she immediately starts backpedaling. "Wait, hang on. It's not that I don't like you. I just genuinely don't know what I'm feeling." But he's not buying it. He slides closer, his voice dropping low as he challenges her whole swept-up-in-the-mood excuse, revealing that for the 9 years they were apart, every single time he thought of her, his body would, well, you know. And now that she's right here in front of him, he can't hold back for a single second. He leans in, whispering, "And you still think this is just being swept up in the mood?" My girl is on total system overload. He's too close, and her brain has officially left the chat. He pulls her into a hug, and her arms instinctively wrap around his neck. He's just murmuring her name, going in for a kiss, and all she can think is, Okay, yep. This is exactly times what getting swept up in the mood is. And honestly, in a situation this intense, straight out of a spicy manhwa romance, who could even blame her?